Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome back to some Club 100 heavyweight sprint action from round 3, this time at Whilton Mill, where you join me in the warm-up for heat number 1, just as the camera decides to part company with the go-kart. Not ideal. Luckily, nothing that wasn't sacrificial broke. But there's a trusty Sam Dimolo who finds it, or Barnaby there as well. Inspecting the broken lens protector. Good job I was running lens protector. Hello, Barnaby.
It's just the size of it.
Yeah, it's all well and good, and luckily this was a streamed round, so we've got some lovely Alpha Live and DDMM commentary to rectify the issue of not having a camera on the go-kart. But going through the first corner, got Scott Parker there, who was on pole, taking the lead, and another getting shuffled down the order a little bit. But as always, we expect him to come forward. And we were starting towards the middle in this race as driver there in the white helmet gets a good old punt from behind and nearly breaks his neck going through Christmas. But down towards Ashby, everyone's kind of settled down, although we do have someone on the grass on the left-hand side, driver's left that is, right-hand side of the screen as they come round the King of Inkermans. King of Inkermans, actually, interestingly now, was a bit more of a corner, just because the carts have been given a slightly different restrictor. As we skip ahead a little bit, you can see Adam Nather going for a move through Osiers, and there's me coming through behind, looking to try and make a move and follow through the driver there in the red suit, but not quite able to get quite alongside Adam Britton there and have to settle in or tuck in behind and see if we can do something else later on in the lap or the race. But yeah, carts slightly quicker now than they were last year, and it makes some of the corners a bit more interesting, a bit more challenging. For example, Inkerman, you now have to be a little bit more considerately lined as we go up the inside of Adam Britton, but nothing doing, get squeezed a little bit onto the curb, lose momentum, and have to instantly check over the shoulder to make sure we're not about to get overtaken myself. So that wasn't ideal. And that would pretty much be the race. I'd catch up with Adam, who I don't think had quite the kart he maybe would have wanted in this race. As you can see there, Adam Nather's got himself up into the leads with Scott Parker following along. And there's me, still stuck behind the two drivers in front. Didn't really have enough at the top of the hill to send a move. On that last lap, I did try sending a move around the outside, but it didn't work. Adam Britton got through. I probably should have followed him through, but in the end, it's a P6 finish. Not awful, but definitely could have been better as we jump ahead to heat number 2, where we actually do have an onboard camera this time. Yeah, I'll be able to bring you some onboard camera angles as well, a little bit like the camera angle there, where you can see a couple of drivers having to take to the grass going through the first right-hander as they go through the left of Inkermans. Trying to go up the inside here with George English as we come up towards Christmas. Get alongside, but he's able to get a bit more drive off the corner, and I have to tuck in behind and have a think about what else I can do later on in the race to try and get past. Managed to get a few places off of the start, which is good. In general, that was relatively strong today. Off the start, I wasn't really staying stagnant or dropping back. I was making places, so that's a positive. Maybe not quite as good as a couple of years ago, where I was managed to go from like 13th to 3rd in the first 2 corners, but we can dream. As we come up towards the...
it's through there. That's the power of the Jaffa Cakes. I've just had one, Tim, and it's promoted you up to 7th place.
Yeah, it is the power of the Jaffa Cakes as we go 3 wide going up in towards Christmas. A little bit of a Schumacher and Hakkinen moment at Spa, where both of us going around either side of one of our competitors. Not lap traffic in this case, but still was could have been dicey as George there goes up the inside, number 29, looking to try and follow him through, not as clean, getting past the move, ending up going side by side through the unofficial Boxing Day corner after Christmas, but able to make it stick and work better than it did on the first lap when we tried to get past George in a similar way. As we skip ahead onto lap number 4 as we go through this not particularly fun chicane. I've said it a million times, I think they could have done other things, but it does definitely make the last sector safer. No one's been ploughing themselves into the wall anymore, but yeah, George gets it wrong going through Crook and allows us to get past. So I tap my helmet to say, come on, like, push me through, let's see if we can work past these boys in front. And if you are enjoying the video, why don't you tap on that like button and the subscribe button and the bell button and all of the things, and tap away at some of the keys and leave a comment as to how badly you think I'm driving, and I'll read them later and die a little bit inside. But we've managed to stay up with these two super heavyweights in front of us, have a little bit of a look going down in towards oblivion, but it's not going to work. There didn't get quite enough drive to make that happen. The driver in front really does need to sort of get wrong, or you have to have an absolute rocket ship. And for some reason, I pull out of the slipstream really early, and just didn't have any overspeed whatsoever. So that was probably a little bit of a wasted opportunity, because there was definitely space to throw it down the inside if I'd pulled out a little bit later, had a bit more overspeed. But we jump ahead a few corners and going down towards the boot section.
Into the boot.
Yeah, that the lap before, we could have possibly followed Stuart Kirk through in front, because we'd sort of pushed him through or passed on Chapman to get into the boot section. But again, kind of like in the first race, wasn't quite close enough to follow it through. But that time, with me being the lead kart going for the overtake, I was able to get alongside and make the move work. And then a lap later, we're behind Stuart, looks over his shoulder and doesn't fight too hard.
Hicklin, as there, Penny down the inside, has got third off Kirk.
Yeah, 3 laps in a row, we've seen 3 overtakes on the entry to the boot.
I think for Stuart there, he sort of worked out that it was better for him as a super heavyweight not to fight too hard, and just to make sure he finished as the lead super heavyweight in that race, which he did, I believe. He ended up in 4th or 5th. So that was a 3rd place for us. Good result, considering that was our back start, and we jumped to the 3rd heat now, where we're behind Anwar, and this is our front start, obviously, being that we're starting in 3rd, and we get straight up into 2nd place, which is good. However, did get a little bit of a slide on going through Quirk, so not quite as clean of a run, which means I had to sort of go a little bit defensive and just place myself in the middle of the circuit going into Christmas, and then brake a little bit too deep. You can see me giving a little bit of a shake of the head there, just in those 2 corners, having to be a little bit defensive and just not getting them quite right. It's given Anwar the buffer, which he absolutely does not need. And would make it very hard for myself to try and catch up with him, which we did over the course of the race. We were probably, on average, maybe about half a tenth quicker than Anwar. Could be down to kart, could be down to that I was just driving well in that race. But had we not made those mistakes, possibly would have been in a better position to chase down and maybe even go for an overtake during the course of the race. As we can see there, Joe Holmes has made a good start up into 4th, but he'd get trapped a little bit. Didn't really have the kart underneath him in this one to be as progressive, and once he got past into 3rd place, he would eventually drop back. So as we made gains on Anwar, we'd be pulling away from Joe, which was a nice little confidence boost to work out after the race. That well, ignore the fact that it was probably down to equipment, but to be gaining on a previous champion and pulling away from the current and defending champion, is pretty good. But as we come through the sort of middle part of the track, you see there Anwar looking over his shoulder. He's making a few little uncharacteristic mistakes as well, which again, it was like buoying to see, in terms of, I felt like I was hitting my marks. There's another mistake as he clips the cone in front. He'd get a curb warning for that, because we weren't allowed to take much of that curb at all. And then as we come through turns 1 and 2, you can see Anwar ahead just here runs wide, and he'd done this a couple times already, but I don't think it had been called. But he's going right across that white line and using the runoff, which we weren't allowed to do. We were told in the driver's briefing that we're not allowed to do it. We look ahead again, and he's gone wide again, so that'll be 2nd time. And eventually, as you can see, us coming round onto what would be the final lap. We've brought the gap down sort of a decent chunk, at least maybe about 0.7 of a second over the course of the race. And there's Anwar going wide again, and that will be his 3rd track limits warning that was called, which would mean that he's received a 2-place penalty. And by virtue of us pulling away from Joe and staying in 2nd place, we would inherit 1st place. So that'll be a P1, a P3 and a P6. Bit disappointing on that P6, which would still put us 4th on the grid, which is tied on points with Alex, but I think we had a faster lap time over the course of the day. So the tiebreaker of fastest lap put us in 4th, but actually you can see there, Alex being on the pole side of the grid gets a better run into the first corner and is able to jump us, and we've got another driver on our outside here able to get a slightly better run than me going up towards Hill. So we've dropped 2 positions. Adam Nather's looking to try and have a little bit of a look around the outside, but nothing doing this time. But he does get in front, stuck on the outside though. Driver in front of us through Inkerman's clips that curb, which sends him wide into Adam and gives me the position back. So effectively dropped 1 position through the start. Alex Pritchard, who started alongside us on the grid, is up into 2nd place. Excellent start for him. Joe has got himself off into the lead, and then we've got Kurt in 3rd, Anwar in 4th, myself in 5th. And we've got some very racy C2s and an Adam Nather within that group as well, looking to try and chase me down. As we look behind, we can see we've opened up a little bit of breathing space to Adam Hadfield behind us. Probably a similar-ish kind of gap to the one that I've got to Anwar in front of me. And at this point in the race, having dropped back due to sort of slight kerfuffles as we went through the first few corners of the race, it's just a case of getting the head down, seeing if we can break into this gap as Anwar goes to the move on Kurt. Makes that move nice and clean, and he looks to try and secure it as we go down the hill. And I was fully expecting Kurt to try and absolutely send it straight back on Anwar, to put himself back into 3rd place and be the lead car out of the 2 of them. But he doesn't. He stays behind and has elected to see if he can maybe either push along Anwar or maybe even just seeing if he's got the speed for him to then follow through. And he definitely does have the speed, because he makes a move on Alex going up the top of the hill, and that's not an easy thing to do. Last of the late breakers is Alex Pritchard going in towards Christmas, but doesn't work for him this time, as Alex was able to get the switch back on him, and they end up going 3 wide into Ashby. I tried to capitalise on it, but Kurt didn't get a particularly great run off the corner, which meant that I wasn't able to stay full throttle going on the straight between Ashby and Wilkins, and in trying to tuck back behind Kurt to secure off the move, Alex, who was able to stay full throttle, had just got his nose alongside me. As we have a look behind there, we can see Adam Nather's now got past, and he's the car right behind us. Which wasn't particularly good news, because he was absolutely flying in this race. So I point towards Alex, say, come on, let's just heads down and let's go and get him. And Alex is in full agreement that he wants to do that as well. But yeah, so because Alex had got his nose alongside, I had to give him the space. 1, because that's what racing is, and 2, because I think if I didn't give him the space, I would have been absolutely murdered going into the tyres on the exit of Wilkins. But as we go through, Christmas had a yellow flag, so we had to go off the throttle a little bit, but maybe a little bit too much, as Adam Nather is able to get the runners going down towards the hill and sends up our inside and gives us the finger point to say, come on, let's go forward. And he absolutely had the pace on me, did Adam, in this race. I think we're pretty even between the 2 of us, and in this one I was just going to say, no, I'm not keeping up. I'm just going to have to try and follow you as best I can. As you can see, as we go on towards the next, this is a really cool camera shot, by the way. Alpha Live use this one more with like the slight canter to the camera and then the follow through the cars going over the hill. That's really nice. I like that. But yeah, you can see, I think through the infield parts of the course, I think I was as fast, if not slightly faster, but then coming off the low end, I couldn't keep up. You can see there, it's just pulling away out of Wilkins, and it was the same sort of situation coming through the last corner, to the extent that you can see as we get towards the top of Christmas corner, despite being bumper to bumper through the last corner, as Adam goes for a move into Christmas but overcooks it a little bit, allows Alex to get past, and he makes it very clear that he's not going to make this easy. Goes a bit defensive into Ozier's as well, and doesn't actually use that much time for doing so, but Adam does have a bit of a run, has a little hook up the inside, but nothing doing that time. Alex positions his car well to put Adam off, and I was kind of hoping that he would go for it and I could pick up the pieces, but 'twas not to be. But yeah, you can see here, just coming off that last corner, even before the start line, we've dropped maybe a kart, possibly even 2 kart lengths on Alex and Adam, which was frustrating. But we got the mini box, fancy little mini box look in the top corner. We got some fighting for the lead between Joe and Anwar, so we'll follow that along as well. So you've got fighting between Alex, Adam and me, and you've got fighting between the 2 championship, or 2 of the championship protagonists as they head along. We hadn't been dropped too much by them over the course of this race, which was good to see. But Adam finally does get that move going into Ashby, and we get bolstered out of the way by Adam Hadfield there as we go into Wilkins, and then he kind of gets no drive coming off of come off of Ozier's. I don't know if he sort of delayed his throttle application or just didn't pick up, but we end up sort of getting tangled with each other, and that increases the gap further to the other two in front, which kind of means that 6th is the best I can do now, even though I've been shuffled down to 7th place, which isn't ideal. As we come on to the last lap, in the box up top, we've got Anwar and Joe fighting for the lead, and they get a little bit tangled. Not a massive bit of contact, but enough to kind of put Anwar out wide, and Adam Hadfield there goes too deep on his defending line, and I'm able to cut underneath and take 6th place back off of him. As you see there, that action in the little box allowed Kurt to get through up into the lead. A bit of a through goes Hamilton moment for him, with Joe and Anwar having that fight, and for us, because of the time lost to Alex ahead, it will be a P6 finish in the end, which possibly, if things had gone absolutely perfectly, could have been a P4, probably should have been a P5, but P6 would have to do in the end. And it would mean that when all was said and done at the end of round 3, we'd come away with a decent chunk of points, decent enough at least to bump us up a position or two in the standings. And if we take a look at those standings now, we can see that Kurt Holmes has assumed the lead of the championship off of Anwar by 3 points, and Joe within 5 points as well. Then it's a bit of a drop down to Mikey Nichols, Alex, myself, Miguel, Adam. Marcel is the first of the C2s, and Adam Hanfield there is chasing along. But very close battle between the top 3, and then the points were very close as well for that next group, which I find myself in. So over the course of the season, it's going to be absolutely imperative to be as consistent as possible. Not that it's not anyway, but with the points as tight as they are at this point in time, any lost ground could be very, very difficult to try and pick back up. But that's it for Whilton Mill for round number 3, as we move on to round 4 next time at Rissington, which will be an interesting circuit with the slight boost in power. Last year it was quite a difficult circuit to overtake on, being that most of it you could do at quite high speed. So a bit more power hopefully makes it a bit more tricky, and we'll see how we go. But until then, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a good one.